we saw toads in the stream, in the pond, and mayflies in the stream. Let's learn about the food chain in those places and in other places. So at the bottom of the food chain, there are the plants and algae, which are fed by the sun, though that really isn't a part of it. Then what eats the plants and algae are the herbivores, which in these places are tadpoles and mayflies in the streams, and cows, though that's in another place, which they're just herbivores because they eat grass. And then what eats those herbivores are carnivores, which are the predators. So they're fish, which eat the mayflies, snakes and foxes, and those, and then what even higher than them are things that can eat these predators, these carnivores and the herbivores, which are the apex predators. Those are also carnivores. Apex basically means top, so that they're at the top of the food chain, which means basically nothing eats them. So those are sharks in the ocean, eagles in the sky, because those eat snakes, and lions in the deserts in Africa. And food webs are a bit complicated actually. They're a bit more complicated, so we usually simplify it to a food chain like this one. And a parallel chain, which is basically another thing, is decomposers, detritivores, and scavengers. So decomposers are basically these little microbes and other stuff, microscopic usually. You can't see, but they may work on a little bit to decompose.
So they would be like a fungus or a bacteria, working on a dead body. Okay.
Yeah. And then the detritivores, which eat dead stuff, which are not super big. They're some insects that decompose different things, maybe dung beetles, because those kind of decompose dung. Whereas a decomposer will decompose and work on this much of the dung at a time.
Or those isopods that we were looking at in the ponds. Those are detritivores, right? Because they eat the dead leaves.
And also, they're also scavengers, which are vultures, which will come down to a dead body and basically eat a large quantity of it. Not just a little bit, and they'd actually be working on big or bigger bodies.
So when we're looking at a food web, everything that's eating everything, it's a lot more complicated than a single food chain like we have here.
Plants and algae, and then you'd list all of the things that eat that around it on different things going out, and then on each of those you'd go out with how many things eat that, and it gets to grow gigantic.
And it gets really complicated because sometimes some species change what they eat as they get older. An example would be those tadpoles that we were seeing. What do tadpoles eat?
Tadpoles eat the algae, but when they go into becoming a frog, they are suddenly carnivores, which basically they were here when they were young, and then later they just went straight up to this, because when frogs and toads are adults, they eat insects.
Wow. Wow, so it is pretty complicated. Thank you, Tyler, for explaining that to us.